So let's get real for a second. Being an empath is wonderful. Whenever a friend or family member needs support, I'm able to be there on a deeper emotional level. But there have been times where I didn't know how to handle when loved ones felt anxious or angry. If a friend was anxious, then I was anxious. If my dad was upset, I felt so upset until he was better. My happiness became tied to how happy or sad they were. I developed the habit of giving away my inner power like candy. Early on in my spiritual journey, this egg of light visual helped me so much in times of stress. My name is Francesca Phillips, and you're listening to the Good Space Podcast, a show where we help you find peace and power in work, relationships, and intuition. Today's episode on creating a personal energy shield for your own energetic protection is a re-upload and one of our most popular episodes that we released in the early days of our podcast. Boundaries have been on my mind a lot lately, and I know it's been on the minds of our listeners and email readers as well. The idea of what are healthy boundaries? How can we create better boundaries with people that we are in relationships with and just overall with our time? And there's so many different aspects in our lives that require boundaries. And I thought that sharing this episode again would be the perfect way for you as a listener to get a jump start and really make an actionable step towards making healthier boundaries. So this episode is very useful. It gives you tangible exercises that you can do to really clear your energy, to focus on only keeping what is yours inside of your energetic circle and releasing anything that isn't yours that may have been put upon you from others or from the energy of the city you're in or stresses from work. It's really my favorite way to just have an energetic reset and to cleanse and feel more positive. And it's a great practice that you can use every night before bed where we've kind of already collected energy from that day. But you know what? I'm going to release it. I'm going to clean it and then start fresh in the morning. So I really hope that you enjoy this episode, whether it's the first time you're listening to it or if you've heard it before, but this is a great refresher. So please let me know in the comments of our show notes what you think. You can click that link in our show notes on your podcast app. And when you click through, it'll take you to a blog post where you can comment. But I would love to know if you have any other questions or thoughts about boundaries, and we would love to give you more content on that. So I hope you enjoy. Today, we're going to talk about creating an energetic shield for protection from the influence of energy around you. So you'll learn what a personal energy shield is, how you can create one, and a few simple strategies you can use in low energy situations. If you're an empath, someone who's sensitive to the emotions of other people or environment, oftentimes you can feel like you're taking in so much and either get overwhelmed, feel down, or constantly drained when you're around people. If any of these sound like you, then today's episode is for you. We're going to talk about how you can create that personal energy shield to protect where your energy goes and the kind you receive. Consider this the secret superpower you never knew you could have. It's no secret. Energy is everywhere. You're created from energy and can generate it in every moment. Your thoughts can grow or shrink it. Your emotions act as interpreters of the kind of energy you're experiencing. Who you're around can affect it. Energy is the way the universe creates and communicates. Cluing into the quantum field is a part of our biological process. Matter is one, not separate, which means any of our subatomic level processes can be influenced at any given moment to take any of a variety of paths. Don't feel alarmed, my friend. You very much have the power to choose the quality of your earthly experience. You're a co-creator, not a passive receiver of energy if you choose not to be. No one can invade your space simply because they intend to. You're the ultimate gatekeeper of your energy. However, there may be times you have a leak. It can happen because you're not aware or you allow it to happen. Thankfully, there are a few techniques you can use to repair any leakages. So here's why you need to protect your energy. As a general rule, it's helpful to practice raising your energy every day. If you didn't listen to episode 25 on what it means to be in vibrational alignment, make sure you listen to that for some tips on how to stay consistent in that vibrational frequency. Lynn McTaggart in The Field says that when two people are connected, quote, the pair becomes less highly tuned in to his separate information and more receptive to that of the other. In effect, They pick up someone else's information from the 0-point field as if it were their own, end quote. In simpler terms, when two people want to establish a connection, their brain patterns become synchronized. This adds a lot of oomph to the well-worn saying that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Your brain literally synchronizes with them, which begs the question, what kind of people are you connecting with? McTaggart says that the observer with the greater degree of coherence or order influences the probabilistic processes of the less organized recipient. The more ordered of the pair affects some quantum state in the more disordered other and nudges it toward a greater degree of order. End quote. Interpreted for everyday use, if you hang around people with higher energy, your energy will start to rise. If you start to feel lower energy or emotions when you're around someone, that's by choice. Higher energy always converts the lower, not the other way around. It may seem scary or overwhelming to know how to start claiming your energetic power. It's often why most people live life going through the motions. They'd rather be acted upon so they don't have to exert the effort needed to live a vibrant life. But don't let the gap between where you are now and where you want to be scare you. Even if you expand your energy inch by inch, those inches equal the expansiveness of eternity. You don't need a mile's worth of progress to protect your energy. You only need a willingness and a few trusty tools. So let's get more specific about how you can start preventing or blocking unwanted energy. William Broad, a researcher quoted by McTaggart, found it was possible through psychological shielding strategies to block or prevent influences you didn't want. Similar to Joan Borsenko's idea of having an egg of light, Broad said, quote, you could visualize a safe or a protective shield or barrier or screen which would prevent penetration of the influence, end quote. It's like a little cocoon of light that dissipates unwanted energies at its borders. In one of Broad's studies, he asked participants to shield themselves against the influence of 2 of the experimenters. You can read more about it online or in the book The Field, but essentially at the end of the experiment, those who shielded had far fewer physical effects. So let's talk about 3 shielding techniques that I really like. The first one is the auric egg exercise, and that's AURIC, egg exercise. That's an easy exercise that involves light visualization and aligning chakras. You breathe in and visualize expanding a warm light to your different chakra centers, and by the end, feel expansive and calm. This is probably my favorite shielding exercise when I need an energetic boost. I have a link to the full process in the show notes, so if you want more details on that, you can see that there. The second shielding technique is the secret of the golden flower. It's a meditation technique that David Paul Kirkpatrick created from the papers and commentary of Carl Jung, who's a psychologist. Kirkpatrick describes the secret of the golden flower as an ancient esoteric treatise that was transmitted orally for centuries before it was ever written down. It formulates a particular kind of meditation involving the circulation of the light. It is not only the radiance found in the sun and moon, it is also the luminosity in our eyes. So again, if you really want to check out the nitty-gritty details of this, go to our show notes. It's actually a pretty lengthy post with like diagrams of posture and where to focus your eyes. So actually explaining it all word for word here would take forever. But yeah, it's just basically like body postures, meditation, and it's really, really nice. So for number 3, the zipper of light is what I've called it. I don't know if this is what it's called, but this is a technique that Angie Fisher shared with me when I interviewed her on the podcast. And she is episode 24, how to build an energetic energy shield and protect your power. It's not the only thing we talked about in the episode, but this particular part I thought fits so well right now. And she practices this every night before bed and throughout the day when she's in low energy situations. So you can use this method as a way to protect yourself when you know you're going into a situation that may not have the best energy. So if you have a networking event or a work call or even a family situation where you know, okay, I don't know if the energy is going to be that great, so let me do this practice. So step 1 is you imagine you have a shield around your energy field, like a solid ring of light being zipped tight around you with no holes in its boundary. Step 2, say to yourself, release anything that may have latched onto me, that I have taken on, that's not mine and that doesn't serve me. Release it back to be recycled for the greater good. And then step 3, say to yourself, please bring back to me anything that I may have lost for today or disconnected or for some reason is not in my energy field, and bring it back to me and make me whole and complete, or whatever feels good to you. So I did create a download for this specific technique for Angie's episode. So if you want that, I will also link it in the show notes, and that way you can use it to look at to keep this practice close and to know what to say. It's really awesome. I've been doing it before bed, and it's really helped me to feel more centered and just calm. So all of these are great tools to have handy if you're an empath or need to strengthen your light when you know you have to deal with a difficult person. Most times we can't orchestrate the energy in every situation we're walking into, but we can prepare and make our light so strong it converts any low energies we come across. If you practice these daily for 10 minutes, you'll find yourself feeling more expansive and able to allow unwanted influences pass right through. So let's get real for a second. Being an empath is wonderful. Whenever a friend or family member needs support, I'm able to be there on a deeper emotional level. But there have been times where I didn't know how to handle when loved ones felt anxious or angry. If a friend was anxious, then I was anxious. If my dad was upset, I felt so upset until he was better. My happiness became tied to how happy or sad they were. I developed the habit of giving away my inner power like candy. Early on in my spiritual journey, this egg of light visual helped me so much in times of stress. I'm a visual person, and so when I entered a situation with anxious energy, I would just envision this egg of light gently enveloping me and breathing its comforting effects into me. And even as someone talked, I imagined a divide between us where their toxic energy dissipated as it hit the egg's barrier. It was such a calming presence and visual in an otherwise really stressful situation. At first, it was hard for me to keep it going, but with practice, I got stronger and stronger until I learned to detach from someone else's state of being completely. 10 minutes of daily meditation really helped me with this too. Now I hardly take someone else's emotional state personally, and I'm able to hold my own energetic ground, even change their energy. And as a quick disclaimer, just because higher energy converts lower energy doesn't mean we need to stay in a toxic situation. It's smart to remove toxic people from your life as much as possible, whether that's someone who's not a good friend or an employee who kills company morale, but there are certain relationships that aren't so black and white. You wouldn't want to get rid of your mom or husband if they're going through a rough patch, or you may have completely toxic parents and want to find a way that they can stay in your life. So you work to create boundaries with them. And everyone is at a different place in their journey and may be further behind than you. But if you keep your energy high and focus on your own well-being, then you'll inspire those around you more than you know. After all, our collective goal is to walk each other home, as Ram Dass says. So this week, I challenge you to pick one of these exercises, the auric egg exercise, or the secret garden of the flower, or the zipper of light. And I want you to practice it at least once, whether when you wake up or before you go to bed, and just feel what it's like to envelope yourself in that visualization of light. And anytime you know you're going into like a toxic situation or you're going to talk to someone who has lower energy than you, use this to prime yourself and to protect yourself beforehand. And let me know if it helps or if you see any results from it. I hope you have a wonderful week. Now it's time for an affirmation. I intend to be an energetic, bright light to everyone around me and release anything that isn't serving me. If you found today's tips inspiring or thought-provoking, share it right now on social media and make sure to tag me at Francesca A. Phillips or at Find Your Good Space, and also weigh in the comment section at findyourgoodspace.com. You can find links in the show notes. And if you have a spiritual or mindfulness problem that you want me to unpack on an upcoming The Good Space episode or an awesome manifesting story you want to share, give my podcast phone line a ring right now at 917-719-0867. Also, don't forget to download my free morning routine guide. It's what helped me reduce my anxiety, increase productivity, and so much more. The link to everything I mentioned is in the show notes. See you soon.